What are the primary sources of funding for entrepreneurs? I'm not going to be showing you in this video how to get on Shark Tank and get the golden handcuffs that everyone says that you need to go do. That is not how I funded my business. I'm going to teach you how I did fund my business, and I've kept all the equity. I own everything, and I didn't have to go take home equity or do any other garbage that people are doing now. Let's dive in. But Steven, I don't have money to start a business. Boo. That mentality sucks. All right? Rich people and rich mentalities ask, how can I afford it? So I was broke as a joke, negative cash flow for a long time. When I wanted to go to one of the first marketing events ever that I ever went to, I didn't have money to go on that and pay for a flight and hotel and tickets. So what did I do? I traded something that I could. Right? You don't need money to start a business. I hate that mentality. It takes money to make money. No, I'm not. I can't swear on this channel, so I'm not going to. Garbage. That is so not true. It does not take money to make money. Guess what I did? I asked, how can I be resourceful? What are my resources? If money's not one of them, I got a skill set. Let me trade funnels for a plane ticket. Let me trade funnels for hotel nights. Let me trade funnels for the flight itself. When I tried to get ClickFunnels account for the very first time, I didn't have money for that. But what did I do? What did I have? There's a 2-week free trial that every single ClickFunnels account's come with. That's a gift, man. So guess what I did? Week number 1, I built the funnel. Week number 2, I focused on selling so that week number 3, when the actual billing started, my customers paid for my bill. That's how I got it, right? That's the best way to go do it. So I want you to completely rip out this mentality. Actually, I started by filming big entrepreneurs events. I didn't have a nice camera. I didn't have this kind of stuff. Okay, what I did is I went to a public library because they have that. And I rented it. I didn't tell them I was taking it on a trip. Right? I took the camera and all the equipment on a trip, and then I would come back and I'd be like, well, I got to edit this. I couldn't afford big video editing software, so what has video editing software? Public libraries. So I would hand the camera back and take the card out, and I'd keep the card, and I would go to put the card in the public library right there, and that's where I did all the video editing. That's how I started, all right? I bootstrapped it, man. And if anyone says I don't have money so I can't get in business, you don't understand what money even is then. In this video, I'm going to show you what you can do to fund your company without going the credit card route, without going and doing VC funding, without getting on Shark Tank. Because I didn't do any of that stuff. I own everything. And now I have some of my friends who did get that stuff coming back to me and saying, how'd you do that? Let's dive in. The first way to fund your business, which is probably the most common way, is to first build the product and then try to sell it. I call it the build then sell. So strategy number 1, build then sell. That's a common method. Like all of real estate is built on that method, right? You don't, for the most part, the house gets built and then they try to sell it, right? So a lot of products are that way. Hollywood makes the movie and then they try to sell it. Now, there's power in that. There's nothing wrong with that model, but what's the challenge with that model? The challenge with that model is that there's only so much time and effort and energy, and that is a situation where you're probably going to have to shell out some cash in order to make money. So I did not use that model when I bootstrapped my business. You don't need to either. Okay, you don't need to either. You don't have to build and then sell. There's other ways to do that. Okay, the first ever info product that I put together was actually, it took me 8 months to make it. And I was in college, I was in the Army, kids, like the whole 9 yards. Okay, it was extremely exhausting. I was so busy. I was able to carve out from about midnight to 2 or 3 a.m. every day, 2 to 3 hours. And that's what I was spending that's where I was getting the time to be able to build a business. So if someone says, I don't have the time, bull crap, you're wasting it somewhere. Okay, and so I would go and I'd build this thing at 8 months like that, midnight to 3 a.m., 8 months. That's so expensive for discretionary time. And it was really, really challenging because when the 8 months was over and the product was done and I was so excited to finally put it out there, crickets. It didn't work. It didn't even work. So that's the challenge with this model is we tend to think and are only taught that entrepreneurs follow this path of I must have a completed product in order to turn a dollar. And it's just not true. Funding type number 2. This is also a classic model. It is sell then build. Literally the opposite of the first one. And this one hangs up a lot of people, especially if they're brand new. They're like, how can I sell something if it's not built? Okay, Tesla just did this. You guys remember with the Cybertruck thing? Which, by the way, that is not a truck. I have a truck. If it's a cool thing, don't call it a truck. Anyway, but did you see how he did it? Watch with the marketer's eyes how he did it. Does anyone actually have, at the time of making this video right now, does anyone actually have the Cybertruck they paid for? No. Oh, so wait, he sold. And what are they doing now? Now they're building. This is not an uncommon model. And I've used this many times. In fact, in my own business, what we'll do is we'll charge 150 grand for a custom funnel for companies, and we ask for the majority of that up front because we got a lot of costs involved with making a high quality product. So we ask for the money and then we fulfill on it. Right? Now, this is a really, really cool model to go do, especially if you're just starting out. I have done this multiple times. But what it does, though, is it actually lets you have some security. I want to ask you a key question right here. Please write this down. What does it take to make money? What's actually required? One thing, a sales message, not a product. Case in point, how many of you bought something on the internet, shows up, and it's just garbage? Like, it's something off Amazon, right? Even just that. Why did you buy it? What made you think it was going to be so incredible? And why is it so bad? They sold you. Now, I'm not saying to do that. I think it's unethical. I don't think that's a good thing to go do. Okay, but that is to illustrate the point that the only thing you really need to make money is actually a sales message, not even a product. The sales message is what makes the sale, right? And that's why this model works so well. Now, let me warn you real quick. Do not bait and switch people. Okay, I'm not saying this is not give license for that, right? Elon Musk was very careful to say, look, we're not done with this truck yet. If you just want to hold your place, we'll make it for you and we'll build. I think they're actually building the factory and putting together the process right now. Like, they got a lot of work to go do right now. But he was upfront about that, right? The not telling people that is definitely not okay. So if you're going to do this model and fund your company this way, this is one of my favorite models to go do it, besides the third. But this is one of my favorite ways to go do it because you sell, you collect the cash, which what does that do for you as an entrepreneur? Okay, well, I can sleep, I can breathe, and I can pay the bills. I can, all the recurring expenses involved with having a company. I'm good now, right? And now I can actually focus on the fulfillment piece, which is really, really a fun way to do this. Service-based products are an awesome way to go do this, where you go and you sell and then fulfill. You collect and then fulfill. Whereas a lot of other companies, though, they build, and then as soon as you pay, you have it. That requires you to have the product. That's why I like the second model so much. Before I show you guys how honestly, my favorite way to fund my entire company, I've used it many times now. Guys, subscribe. It's a big rectangle. It's a red box. It's free for you to click. It means a lot for this channel. I'm just going to give you more stuff like this. We put these videos out like every single weekday. At least 5 days a week, which is awesome. And you'll get notified about that. If you click the little bell, they'll toss a little notification your way. A lot of people have said that this content is better than most paid stuff out there, which I have to agree. Hit the like button if you're enjoying this, and then whatever you've learned the most, like, oh man, I'm going to go for strategy 1 or 2, or stay tuned for number 3. Let me know in the comments below the one that sounds interesting to you. Funding strategy number 3. This is my favorite one. It's the one I've used this 4 times now, and it's resulted, I think, in almost probably $300,000 or $400,000. It works very, very well, and I did it without really an audience or hardly a list multiple times. So you guys can do this. This is a cool strategy. This actually was made popular by a guy named Jeff Walker. I have since molded it and changed it, but it's called the seed launch. And this is a fun way to put a product out there because you build and sell in micro pieces at the same time. And so this is what I did. This is actually how I left my job. And after 3 months, had 150 grand in my hand. Okay, so it's not to like, but I just want you to know this works. Okay, I've used this many times. In fact, I just finished another round of doing this. This is how it works. You go out and you find a hungry audience who is interested in some kind of paid solution, right? They want something. They have a problem that they want to have solved. So I find a hungry audience, and this is all I did. I started a podcast that's free. I started a podcast around that topic. And after doing a few episodes and just delivering some value and looking up some answers on Google and then talking about it on a podcast, which all of you can do, I went out and I started saying, hey, I got a really cool product idea coming up, but I would love to have your feedback on it. I just need to make sure that I understand what you're struggling with and what your challenges are and what you really want because in this specific area, because I want to make sure I include it in the product. So if you want to give me that feedback, go to blah.com and tell me what it is. That was really cool. And I focused on that for a couple months. And what I ended up with was whiteboards, plural, full of people's problems. And all I had to do now was just look for the patterns. And I started going through and I was like, oh, this is similar to that one. This one's clearly different. What about this one? And I literally found 6 topics from all these whiteboards are around me that people were kind of unanimously struggling with. Boom, there we go. I got enough to sell already. And so that's what I did. All I had was those 6 topics And then I wrote a sales message. And I went out to that same audience and I started making podcast episodes and I said, if you're interested in X, Y, and Z, go to whatever, and I'm going to do a little presentation on this topic that a lot of you said you've been struggling with. Proof. Look, here's screenshots of the things that you guys have been telling me. So I had all these people come on a webinar and I wrote the webinar and I sold. And this is what it sounded like. Hey, if you're interested in this, if when you get started with this, just so you know, module 1 of 6 is going to come out in 2 weeks. And I'm doing that because I want your feedback on module 1 because I'm going to be building this out with you very interactively throughout the next 6 weeks. So it comes out in 2 weeks. Go ahead, when you purchase, you get beta pricing, and you're going to go into the members area and tell me more about what you're struggling with the first topic. So think about what I'm doing here. I grab all the topics from an audience, and then, which I really didn't, it just was podcasting, man. I really didn't have a list there. Then what I did is while I was selling them, I said, here's those 6. When you purchase, log in and tell me more about topic number 1. They made my table of contents for me. This is now I can build the product with security, not just in terms of having money in my pocket. I'm building exactly what they are struggling with. This is a really high value way to do this. It's very engaged. There's a lot to it. But guess what I did the next week? You're so lucky. Guess what? This is coming out in 1 week. Log in. Tell me more about topic number 1 and maybe topic number 2. All right. The next week I released module 1. I decided to sell that week. Every week I just sold and I said, guess what? 2 modules are already out. The next one comes out on Monday. Log in, tell me more about what you're struggling with topic number 3. Next week, same exact thing, moving forward. And all I did is I just dripped out in front of them 1 module at a time. And at the end, the whole process took 2 to 3 months. I had 150 grand in my pocket. Not a bad way to exit your job. Okay. Now this is so cool because you're incrementally building while they're telling you what to build. And it's kind of a combination, frankly, of the first 2 strategies, where instead of just build everything and then hopefully it sells, or sell and then go build it all, you're kind of doing a combination of the 2. And I have loved using this strategy because people get a lot of engagement from you, which is a lot of value for them, but it also lets you build exactly what they want. This is how I funded my entire company. If you're looking for other creative ways to make money on the internet, I actually have a cool case study for you. I looked backwards over the last 3.5 years of selling, and it's funny, it's the same sales style in every single one of my biggest sales events. You can do this with an audience, without an audience, if you have a product, if you don't. It's a free presentation. Go to internetlaunchsecrets.com. The link is in the description, and what you'll see there is me sharing my screen and saying, okay, this is exactly how much money this one made. See how many people came into this. It's very, very educational. You'll love it, and it's free. Click in the link in the description. We'll see you there.